Friends in the Ramah world out there. Sorry we're a few minutes late. Delighted to have so many connecting with us this evening for this amazing concert and conversation. I am Joe Menashe. I'm one of the directors at Camp Ramah in California, and it is my great delight. Thank you. It was my great delight. Every kite for the last number of years, every summer for the last number of years, truly the highlight for our Sevet. For our staff has been one of the programs we put on for them. It's been when we have welcomed this band, Plank, up to the Machane, up to the camp to sing a concert, and our staff loves it. It's energy, you'll feel the vibe, and tonight we're gonna have the really special opportunity to be able to pause between songs and have a real serious conversation and appreciate and enjoy their music. And so let's start with the music. Really excited. Nachum, JB, Malcolm, take it away. You're going to sing a song for us appropriately entitled, Where Do We Go Wrong?
2, 3, hey!
Money, I never mind. It's feel like the summertime when I look into your eyes and see the sky falling. Feeling irrelevant. Money, I'm arrogant. Another American being tracked by a deficit. Everything you say, I know is real. That's probably why I'm off these pills. Like, wait. And everything I said, you know is real. My open letter, you know, no one do it better. Wait. My open letter, you know, no one gets you.
Nothing matters without you. I would do anything to gain your trust again, but I know you won't believe me. Doesn't matter how much I've been distracted. Where did we go wrong? 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 Where did we go wrong?
Somebody tell me where. Somebody tell me where.
Where did we go wrong? Where did we go wrong?
Yeah. Then she said she not feeling it anymore. So thinking about last night, not talking that damn anymore, I'm sure. X's and O's all on the shore. Stomach got to drop and leave them feelings at the door. I'm saying, yeah, wait, I'm steady thinking. On my ship, am I sailing or am I sinking? Like, lately, baby, I've been going through some things. I never wanted to taint it, I never wanted it strange. No flame.
Matters without you.
No flame.
Where did we go
You can have another one if you get him what I'm saying, the boy. Like,
where did we go wrong?
no flame.
Where did we go wrong? Where did we go wrong?
Somebody tell me where. Somebody tell me where.
Where did we go wrong?
Somebody tell me where. Somebody tell me where.
Where did we go wrong?
Somebody tell me where. Where?
Where did we go wrong? Where did we go wrong?
Somebody tell me where. Somebody tell me where. Yeah.
Where did we go wrong?
Somebody tell me where. Somebody tell me where. Yeah.
Where did we go wrong?
Hey.
Where did we go? Where
Somebody tell me where.
did we
Where?
go
Where?
wrong? Where did we go wrong?
No flame.
Where did we
Yeah,
go
yeah.
wrong?
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I kind of feel like this is a private concert for me tonight. This is really special. Would love for you guys to tell us a little bit about that song and introduce the band. What's the history? How did you guys get together? And why'd you pick that song to start with?
Wonderful question. This is actually the first Plank song that was written together. And the question of where do we go wrong? I mean, you could put it to a lot of things, but in this context, it's definitely about the situation that's happening here and beyond
Yeah.
in the States. There's so much wrong, and it's kind of a self question, both inward and outward. Where do we go wrong? We're trying to ask ourselves that so we can fix it. Once we find a problem, we try and fix that problem. You want anyone y'all want to elaborate a little bit?
JB.
Like you said, I mean, like what isn't going wrong, you know, not even just in America, but like, you know, across the whole world, you know, it's just, you know, the human nature, you know, the things that we just been seeing in 2020 is exposing a lot of like things that already been going on in life, you know, for generations. And a lot of people are actually being educated now on things they weren't taught growing up, you know, no matter what religion, no matter what country you come from, any of that, you know, like, so it's a lot of light in it, but you know, it's like we wrote this song downtown Los Angeles, about 100 feet away from Skid Row, where, you know, it's like the highest poverty level, I think, in, you know, California for sure, you know. And I remember we were recording and he was just like, we got to shoot a video getting B-roll all downtown, like, you know, just showing like a whole bunch of like messed up stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like, just because it's like, this is daily life, you know? So a lot of us just have become accustomed to just living like in a crazy world, you know? So just trying to bridge together 3 different nationalities, 3 different cultures, 3 different religions. You know, I'm from Compton, Maul's from London, he's from Israel, and that's like, what type of song could them 3 guys make? Like, what, like, you know, like what type of food would that even taste if they all cooked? Like, what would that even taste like? What would it smell like in that room, you know, with 3 different cultures, just everything, you know? So, and it was just like, that's one thing that we all agreed on. It's like, no matter where you come from, it's messed up stuff going on. So it's kind of like, where did we go wrong? Was like our first starting point.
I don't know what to
Mel, you
add
wanna
to
add
that,
anything?
except I remember the session of making the song. There was just a ton of people in the studio, and on the original recording, I mean, you can look up the video on YouTube, and I think the video ended up being interesting because we were trying to make a statement about race and about gun violence and some different things. So I mean, right from the get-go, it seemed like we were talking about a lot of different things in this song, and it meant different things to each of us coming into it, you know. But it was literally the first thing we wrote together as well, which is interesting.
And like all studio magic, there were like 17 people waiting in the studio lobby, and we like invited everybody in.
Everybody come in and sing on the track.
If you listen to the track, you have like a wide range of people just singing,
like a whole choir of like people, just a whole choir of all friends and family just in the studio with us singing. And like, you hear their pain, you know, like they could be talking about relationships, you know what I'm saying, with other people, you know, relationships with, you know, their God, relationships with life, you know, society, you know. It's just like, you could hear it in the song. I think that's what made it like a lot of people like, you know, vibe to the song. Every time we perform it, you can feel it in the audience. Like, people may like not even clap for 5 seconds because they're like, what did you guys just like remind us about right now that, you know, we don't necessarily like to talk about? It's kind of uncomfortable at sometimes, but yeah, I think, you know, overall that was our point. It's like, you know, bringing awareness to, you know, like things going on around us that aren't necessarily talked about every day.
Right. Thank you. And that idea of bringing awareness to things that aren't really being talked about, you know, certainly this year and what's been going on in our country in terms of highlighting racial inequities, how COVID is creating just exacerbating all of these inequities in society. You know, none of this is new. You know, it's just shining a light upon it. And so I appreciate that your song was written before, you know, but then the spotlight all of a sudden is just magnified, you know, at this time right now. Tell me about how did you guys meet each other? You know, how did the band start? And I really appreciate this starting from such a place of, you know, wanting to use music to change the world. You know, how did you guys start?
So we're each musicians on our own. It's not, so we've been each doing our thing for a while. And then a friend said, hey, I'm shooting this video. Could you shoot it with me on play guitar and sing a little bit? I said, sure. Shout out Rachel. What's her name? Michelle Rayton. So she was like, yeah, come and do it. And she was awesome. She's got a great voice. And she said, you know what this song needs? We need a good rapper on this song. So a couple of hours later, JB pulls out of a car and he just comes up and kills it. I mean, he just completely blew my mind. I love collaborating with people in general. It's kind of like, I think that's what music is, or the way I kind of see it. And I just kind of went right over to him after he did his part. I was at the time I was going to Israel a day later. I'm like, I'm going to Israel. When I land, can I call you? He was like, yeah. And then since I have another project called Automatic Toys, which Mal plays with me. Mal's a world-class musician. He'll tell you about that soon. But so we started playing and inviting JB to come perform with us. And as the shows progressed, one time I remember exactly what it was, right on the corner, right off the Mint Crescent Heights in Pico. And we all sat on, after the show, and I was just like, yo, let's just all go into the studio without doing too much, and without like setting any kind of goals, just being in the same room making music.
Yeah, that's the kind of LA cliche, is when musicians or creative people are like, we should get together and do something. And I've lived in town enough time to think that's never ever going to happen. Like, it's nice to have the conversation, but then we actually did. We committed to like meeting once a week, and every week we got together, we were writing and finishing a song.
People came prepared with like parts and words and lyrics, and it was actually, we called it the honeymoon stage of Plank, because it was just like
super creative. Every week
creative.
Banging out material, which was amazing, and we were like still figuring each other out as people, like musically, culturally, everything was so different. And that's also what makes it so unique, is the whole time we were like, who's this guy?
Right.
Where's this guy from? Where's he coming from, as a person?
And we also had a producer at the time who works a lot with JB, who worked with Plank, called Classics. So he was actually with us in that.
Classics with a K.
Classics with a K. And yeah, that's
So
pretty much.
One more question, and let's hear another song, and then we'll keep going. And so, do you guys, feel like your music always has to be about the world and social change? Is that really sort of the ethos, or are there times when you can just be creative and produce, and just kind of tap into that part of your collective soul? So speak about sort of like, where does social change fit in Plank's mission?
I think, the best way to bring people together, music is an international language that brings us together, and it brings people together. And most of the time in our music making, we're less about trying to be a conscious band or something. We're just trying to entertain and like turn up the party and bring music that has a lot of energy, But then beyond that, just from our own experience, I think we end up talking about stuff that's closer to our hearts and that has some kind of meaning or relevance to our situation or our lives. So, we've written every type of song. That was just the first thing that we wrote. Where Do We Go Wrong was like super heavy kind of starting point. But then the next song, like we wrote a song that was just good friends, just celebrating good friends, which is very irreverent, and just party song. So, but we'll do another song. The song we were going to showcase now,
I think also
more heavy.
Right. We're going to do another song, but I just want to add to what Mal said. Maybe also JB wants to add if he wants to. I think our live show is really what gets it for all of us. And if you would call it, the subtext of the mission statement of this band is just seeing everyone who comes out to our live shows, which is a completely eclectic group of people. And so we don't make music for that it's just, it kind of happens organically, and it's so beautiful. And it, pre-COVID, when we played shows, remember that?
What a time. What a time.
What a time.
What a time
that was really, other than us being performers and enjoying it so much, it's really, it was so beautiful to see everyone coming to the show from all kinds of backgrounds, ethnicities, beliefs. It was really, that was kind of the subtext is by virtue of people coming and listening to the music. Yeah. Should we do another song, Rabbi Joe?
Let's do it. We're going to imagine a diverse club right now with a lot of people there listening. So let's hear another
Janae Miller.
Wonderful. I want to also introduce Janae Miller on vocals.
Hello.
She's wonderful.
Hi,
She's, great singer. And we actually have, you want to come and pop in and say hi real quick? We have Brendan Flavin here, who's an amazing guitar player. It's his studio. He's going to play guitar a little bit sometimes off the screen as well. So this song's called Broken. And it's actually, we shot it. I want to shout out a foundation called Rosie's. Lee runs this beautiful organization that enables special needs adult population to develop skills and get jobs in the job workforce. And he's truly a person with a wonderful vision. And we shot this video at his spot. Unfortunately, the video isn't ready, so we'll do it live. But Rosie's a wonderful foundation. And when we do start putting this on platforms, some proceeds will go to Rosie's as well. So this is called Broken.
You know, A situation.
I'll get
Give this man an A.
I'll get an A.
I had the wrong headphones.
Yeah. All right. Also, just want to shout out Temple Colony in Tampa. Before Nagila, which is the high holiday prayer, we did this song. I came with everyone around, and we all sang this together, and it was a beautiful, beautiful moment. Okay. Broken. Here we
Let's
go.
do the song.
Yeah. You good?
Yeah.
You want to start? Go ahead.
I'll get it, guys.
I'm not the singer, guys. I'm the rapper.
Oh, I walk to the edge of the ocean, wishing my sins will wash away. I know my soul is a little broken.
It's broken.
But I forgot, I feel God here. But I forgot, I feel God here. But I forgot, I feel God here. Drowning, we're steady choking, wishing our sins will wash away. Yeah, I know my soul is a little broken, but I forgot, I feel God
Sipping while I'm
here.
got me talking to
But I
myself.
forgot, I feel God
Talking while I'm
here.
lonely, got me drinking.
But I forgot, I feel God here.
Do you really feel me?
La 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 la.
Walking, walking,
La
while
la 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 la.
walking,
La
while
la 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 la.
I'm sipping, got me.
La 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 la.
I'm lonely, eh?
La 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 la.
I'm lonely, got me talking to myself again. Only when I'm lonely, got me talking to
But I
myself again.
forgot, I feel God here.
Yeah.
But I forgot,
What you forget?
I feel God here.
Like
But
what?
I forgot, I feel God here.
Man, beautiful. Wow. Love that song. Each time I hear you guys sing it, amazing. So that's, clearly got that spiritual, old time gospel feel to it. It clearly comes from a strong, Black tradition in the United States, just soulful. You can just kind of feel the energy coming out. So let's use that as a springboard to talk about race. So value, being able to do this with just love and respect and the way you guys create music together. And so, one of the things that clearly in our country has been so highlighted is that this is stuff that we don't talk about, openly and honestly with each other. So we really value this chance in the Ramah setting. We wish this were in person at a camp or something like that, but at least we're doing it. Right,
It feels
and
like
we're
you're
modeling
here.
it.
We see you and hear you. It feels like a real conversation to me.
Thanks, Mel. I appreciate it. It feels natural to me as well.
Uh,
So I'd love to hear, do you guys talk about race, specifically as a band? Does that enter into the creative process? And then also as a second question, I'm going to ask two questions. I'm not a professional interviewer. Is it ever a challenge Like, do you guys ever, come up against something, whether it's, I don't like the feel of that lyric, or this venue doesn't feel so comfortable for me, or however that might play out. So like, how is it, play out on the positive side? And then is it ever a challenge? Anybody can start.
I'll start because I'm on this end.
Yeah.
I thought it was it's always been an interesting challenge. I mean, it's the thing that both makes the group interesting, and it can make it challenging. Our expectations of each other are always being challenged. I know early on I was like, oh, I guess musically we should be trying to make it more like sort of classic, R&B or hip hop or something. And then JB's going, actually, no, like my favorite groups are like Blink-182 and Vampire Weekend, and everyone's more eclectic than you think once you dig even a little bit below the surface. Even that song that we just did, like, yes, of course, the spiritual is from like a black music tradition, but then there's certain songs, like we wanted to do the song because of Kurt Cobain covering a spiritual in the Unplugged show, and we're all Nirvana fans as well. So, figure that out. It starts to get very convoluted when you go through the layers of like why we like certain sounds or styles. And even that song that you heard, the original lyric was, I went down to the River Jordan. Like, it was really on the nose. So Nak was talking about his spirituality really in the song. And then we kind of changed it because it's like, no, we want to make it so it reaches more people, But I think now at this point in the band, we're even embracing it more. Like, let's embrace the things that we like and our culture more, actually having more Hebrew lyrics in the songs. And, before we were like, how do we make it so we kind of please everybody or make pop music that everyone can understand? And at this point in our career, it's like, no, let's really embrace the things that make us uniquely us and celebrate our cultures in the music. But it's a challenge. It's a challenge to do that and balance it. It's a balancing act for sure.
Yeah, I don't think it's something also, race is something, I think we create music just because we love music. And I think a lot of times when things break out in the news, like I remember, I have so many memories I could share about this, but one of them was like a few years ago when there was just, this happens all the time, but horrific murders by policemen to Black men in different various ways.
For sure.
And one of them, I remember speaking to JB, I think this was at the 6, not at the, and I was like, it's so crazy and everything. And then JB asked me, this happens. He was like, dude, this happens all the time, and me growing up in Israel, it was just a different, it was a different thing. I really got exposed to it from JB, but JB was asking me, how many times you get stopped by a cop this year? I was like, I speed a little bit, but not too much, once or twice a year. And JB's like, I got stopped 21 times, 22 times, and it really hits you on those levels, really. Is it ever weird? I don't know. Did anyone ever feel weird with regard to like a venue or something that we went to? I don't know. Which one?
Oh, is your mic on?
Oh, tell them about it. Could you talk about that? Tell them about that. That's funny.
Yes. So what? It was a charity event, right?
It was a charity event in the Valley. We did a charity event in the Valley. Okay.
All right. So I just want to say, like, when I do go to places where predominantly Black people aren't there, it's kind of like I'm the elephant in the room automatically, right? Sometimes I take it in like, yes, I'm here, but like other times it's like, I'm so like numb to it from growing up, being used to it, you know what I'm saying? Because like my elementary school, my high school, middle school, it's like they were mixed races. It wasn't just like one race. So I was like, I was hanging out with Caucasian kids, I was hanging out with Asian kids, Mexican, but like, say like Camp Ramah, like for example, like I'm not sure how many Black people walk around the grounds like, daily or yearly or come and visit, but like I kind of see the little kids looking at me like,
who's that?
Like, not saying they haven't seen a Black guy in person before, but it just, I kind of just get that and I just be like, hi. And they be like, whoa, and they just run, like, so it's like, it's just different, like as kids, we're taught to be paranoid when we leave the house, like we're taught to put your hands in your pockets when you walk into the store because they're going to accuse you of stealing something. So keep your hands in your pockets the whole time, just little stuff like that, that like
people don't really be aware of, like when we see cops, it's like, all right, you're gonna mess with me or not. It's like a coin toss, every time, and most of the time it lands on heads, so um I mean, it's pretty much what you see on the news is real. Yeah, it's been happening for decades, you know what I'm saying? So just growing up, like I grew up in Compton, we don't even have a police department, we have sheriffs, so they're a little more rowdy, a little more strong, a little more aggressive, their probable causes don't have to be probable causes, you know. And just we were just always taught that like no matter where you go, you got to work twice as hard, for less amount of pay that you're going to get from the next person, So, most Black people are just conditioned to believe that, So, like I said, me growing up in different scenarios, I didn't grow up in Long Beach, but I went to school in Long Beach. So like a lot of kids in Compton are like, all they know is Compton, like I've never been outside the States, only because I'm scared to fly though. I have a fear of flight. Like my sisters, they go Bali every year. Like,
We gotta
nope,
change
nope,
that.
nope, nope, not going, not going. That's the only reason. So whenever I see Nachum, you know what I'm saying? I'm always asking like, what is this? What does this mean? What is anything about the Jewish community, anything I want to know, you know what I'm saying? I forgot the word for a person who wants to know everything in life, but it's a term for it. That's me. And even Maul London, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm always asking for like rundown of music history, from the Beatles, blah, blah, blah. Then in Israel, it's just like, what are we eating today? You know what I'm saying? He has to break everything down. So, but then when it comes to Compton, it's the same thing. It's like we have fireworks going off for like the last 4 months straight, not
Bang,
for the
bang,
4th of
bang.
July. Like I could see Maul like, like looking at me like, that's fireworks, right? And I was like, yes, Maul, that's fireworks.
It's a lot of fireworks.
It's a lot of fireworks.
You
But
know-
you know what I'm saying? But it's just like, I see the faces when I work with a lot of production companies from Europe and stuff, documented shows and all that. So I could see that their face when they enter the city, and one thing me and Knox said, like when you get off the plane, in Israel, he always say you could feel the energy like in the air, like, and that's something about Compton that I always related to. Like once you enter Compton, it's like, you're entering like a jungle. So the intensity level is there. It's just very high. You just feel it, it's just like, what is going on? It's kind of feeling you walk to Disneyland and you're like, why am I so happy? Like, it's just like the energy level there, so that was something we all connected with, it's just that not really about the race, not really about area. It's just about like where you're from, what's your culture like, like everybody has a story, so and that's one thing it's like we have the advantage of because like now I go around my friends like I'm Sababa and they be like, what? And I be like, sorry, I forgot I'm not with not like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Sababa.
or like, then I'm like, did you know in London, that the Beatles walked, just little stuff. It's just like, nah, we don't care about that. It's just like, all right, but that's just me though, so
I think
Yeah.
that was the trip as well. Like we're talking about Compton, which is such an iconic place if you're a music fan. And both Nak and I grew up like crazy about Dr. Dre, and now Kendrick is like such an important rapper from the city. But then going there, the expectation was whenever you're going to an unfamiliar situation, it's like, oh, it's going to be super dangerous, or it's going to be a certain thing that you think from TV or from music videos or something. And we actually go somewhere and you're just hanging out at someone's house, meeting their family, eating the food, and actually just kind of enjoying the experience. It's like, people just don't do this. Like even in our city, like I lived in LA for years and never went to certain cities because it's like bad or a bad city or something. But when you go there as an invitation of someone and you're actually there as their guest, in JB's case, it's like a whole eye-opening experience of like, oh, this is another culture in the city, but it's really like a rich, beautiful culture that I just never got to see because I never had the invitation into it,
What Mel's talking about happens countless amounts of times on all cultures. Like I remember when we did that slow motion in the backyard in Elon's place, and we did switch it up with
Oh, for sure.
So remember we brought a couple of friend JB's friends came, and I'll never forget this. Tree came over to me and he said, I love that I feel so welcome here because I'm with you guys, and I'm like, Tree, that's exactly how I feel when I'm in Compton. And but that
it's like a lot of Israeli
that
cool
human
Israeli dudes.
simplicity of just being in each other's spaces as invited guests does not happen. It just doesn't happen.
No.
It just doesn't happen. I mean, we don't do it because we think it's just natural to us. But when we look at the brighter on the wider picture of things, it really doesn't happen. I mean, there's really not much interaction.
Yeah, and
which-
people are always a little spooked and a little freaked out with what they don't know, and that's where a lot of problems come, is they just don't know. Everyone's ignorant of other neighborhoods or other people, so there's this sort of fear of the unknown.
And that's my thing. I wasn't taught to hate a certain race or hate a certain, it's just like, I know so a guy who's been around the world, and he's like, I've been all over around the world, and there are good people and there are bad people, no
That's
matter
me.
where you go. He's
I
right
said
here.
that.
Yeah, he's right here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, no matter where you go, there's good people and there's bad people.
Yeah.
And like I said, I never been taught to hate a race or like feel a certain way about a type of race because of like, generational, habits of, racism that was, what I'm saying? Black people aren't really racist. Black people have a hate, you know what I'm saying, for racist people against, I have a hate for racist people, period. You know what I'm saying? Like, like if people are racist towards, Jewish people, I hate them. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's just me. Like, I love every race, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have any, like stipulations for certain races, but that's just how I was taught. Like I said, not everybody's taught to me. You're only educated on what you know. Like,
Right.
I just shared this on my Facebook post the other day. Like, so like I have close friends who are Caucasian besides these guys, that I grew up with, you know what I'm saying? Like, that I grew up with, you know what I'm saying? So like, I graduated high school with, so I went to one of their houses the other day, I haven't seen since high school. And immediately when I walk in, like they turn the music from like rock music to like, I think it was a Snoop Dogg song. Like, like they
Quick,
put on,
change the station.
like, and they were just staring at me. Then they're like, people are just rushing up to me like, yo, bro, I just want to let you know I'm not racist. And I'm just like, yeah, bro, I like tacos too. Like, like, and then so like, they're like, oh, do you want the aux cord? So I'm like, cool. So then I put on Blink 182 and everybody's literally staring at me for like 10 minutes straight. And I'm like singing every word to the song. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, something's wrong. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, so that's just what we're used to, you know what I'm saying? But like, I'm not like saying that like, oh, those people are ignorant or they're, that's just what they were, that's how they grew up. If they didn't grow up seeing a lot of black people or just seeing the, that's how they grew up, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I've had a lot of people reaching out to me like, yo, I'm sorry what's going on. And it's kind of like, that's cool, like, I mean, I'm not blaming you guys, you know what I'm saying? Like, there are good people and bad people, period. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what race, you know what I'm saying? There are bad black people. There are bad purple people. There are bad green people. There are good blue people. That's just, that's how my mind works, you know what I'm saying? And how we're taught. So when it comes to race, it's like, yeah, that's just me though.
Good. So JB, I really appreciate when you said everybody's got a story, and what you also said, just that people want to learn. And I think so sadly in our world, not just today, but in our society in America, where there's so much parallel play, that there's just so much, we kind of stick to our comfort zones and our little, and in a city like LA, it's if not the most, one of the most diverse cities in the world. We all stick to our neighborhoods, right? And we might interact, but we're interacting because we're like standing in line together at a place. It's not because we're actually like going into each other's homes as guests, as you're describing. And so I so appreciate, this model. One quick question, and would love also just to invite Janae. I know you're not just a backup singer, but you've got your own story and personhood back there as well. And so, I'm going to say this kind of broadly to everybody, but Janae, jump in and tell your story and your thoughts on this stuff as well. But last couple months, Black Lives Matter movement, which is not a new movement, and these issues aren't new issues, but clearly, a broad societal spotlight is being, shown right upon some of the ongoing structural issues, some of the stuff that we carry in our hearts that if we're really peeling back and being totally honest, that let's put it out there and like, let's struggle with this stuff together. And so I'd love to hear, like, do you guys see your mission any different now? Has this changed, with what's been going on this last couple of months? But to begin, I don't know if Janae, you wanted to jump in and offer any of your, story and perspective. And then after you guys respond to this, we'd love to hear another song.
I mean, nothing specifically has changed with what's going on. I've always been one for unity. And even if, things like this have been going on forever, and just because things are being brought to light more, that doesn't mean it wasn't happening before. So it's just people are paying more attention. So, I mean, I've always been one of the people and trying to bring everybody together. So it hasn't really changed with me. I mean, I've been more motivated to do more, of course, but it hasn't really changed anything for me.
All right. Thank you. Others that changed the band at all? Change anything?
Our first song was Where Did We Go Wrong? Ain't nothing changed.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, I'm gonna, as much as I think I understand of this whole situation, I think the feeling that comes to me most is always realizing how much I don't understand. I think that's the most. Even yesterday, we shot a video in Compton yesterday. I was speaking on the phone. It was late at night. I was speaking on the phone in front of the house, and Chippy's like, "Get over here, go talk behind the house." I'm like, "Why?" It's like, we don't know what that car has right there driving around. So I'm saying, so it's just like, you know, and we hung out for years at this point, and it's always like, oh, you know, like, wow, I really don't understand so much, you know, and I think that's definitely part of the abyss that we need to dive into for sure.
My input, I guess, would just be I had to work so hard to become an American citizen. Like I had to fight to get a green card, and they had to fight and go through so many hoops to become a citizen. And one of the things that I really admire about the American dream is the idea of everybody being equal, right? Equality. So the hypocrisy of living in America, not even to get into the politics, but the idea of there being this blatant inequality depending on race seems so against what the idea of being American is. So that's the thing why it needs to be addressed and fixed.
Let me ask you this. Did you ever have a black friend before me?
Yes.
Besides Lewis, that you invited to your house, that you eat with and sit down with?
Probably
Have
not.
you ever invited a black guy inside your house that sat down and ate?
In Israel, not here, but
not in America.
Ethiopia, like, but yeah, but I just didn't have any circle. I wasn't.
No, don't explain yourself now. No, I was kidding. Now it's not the time. We'll talk about this later, guys. No, but it's like but that doesn't mean that, oh, I don't like black people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure they love hip hop music. You know what I'm saying?
That was like, the thing. The music was the in. I grew up totally like in the suburbs, in the widest suburbs, you know, outside of London. But then going to London was a whole other thing because it's super cosmopolitan and like every race. But certainly how I grew up was like super duper white. So whether it was like Jewish kids in my class and not understanding about kosher diets, or the time that, you know, a black kid came to church and everyone was a little bit spooked because it's like, we don't know this guy and he looks different. I mean, we're like barely middle schoolers at that point. So it was now to be in this situation where I'm actually kind of working. This was my dream, to be in a diverse group. I mean, I grew up being a huge like Sly and the Family Stone and Prince fan, of dreaming of being in a band that actually represented different cultures and wasn't just one race, you know. I feel like I'm practicing what I preach now, because that was always the dream, to have like a really international crew.
Look, no white people ever came to my house before until I started doing production companies and shows, but it's not like white people are skilled to come to Compton. So it's like, you know, like now that it's like life is watering down as far as like crime and gangs, and, you know, technology is advancing, so it's harder to get away with crime and stuff. It's just like watering down. Like people are coming more into the city, you know, like Kendrick Lamar, you know, he's brought a lot of press and stuff into the city. People are actually still terrified, you know, like some production companies will be on this corner and they'll be like, are we good right here? And they'll ask me like 50 times in like 10 seconds, are we good right here? And I'm like, I wouldn't bring you here if we weren't, like, you know. So it's just like I said, they haven't been here. I'm not going to go like to Israel within this next year, you know, just going to be like talking to some guy in the back alley, like, hey, then Nachum's like, no, we don't, you know, I don't know, which you only know what you know what I'm saying? Like, so you can't be judged by that, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's ignorant, everybody, you know what I'm saying? One thing I do know is that I don't know nothing, you know what I'm saying? So that's what playing, you know, aside of music is like a big thing for us. We're always asking, what is this? Why is it like this? And, you know,
I think that's the
a good
thing.
start point for all of us. That we don't know anything. Yep.
It's that mixture of curiosity and also like a big safety net of like forgiveness, of like, well, I don't really know. It might be a cultural difference thing, and we just got to figure that out and not just assume that because I have my perspective and my background that everyone else feels and thinks the same way that I do.
I would like to note that I have had I've always had diverse friends, because I lived in South Central LA, but I went to school in a private school in Santa Monica. So I've always been diverse with my friends.
Right. And it's that, you know, opportunity to have exposure to kind of the other, you know, that allows us to get beyond the stereotypes stereotype or the perception and actually know somebody as a real human being with all of their, foibles and strengths and everything else. Let's hear you guys preach some more with your music. Can we hear another song?
Sure.
Love it.
Cindy, or should we switch it up?
Let's do a little Cindy.
Let's do Cindy. All right. I think I'm gonna use phones. All right, this is called Cindy. It's out. It's fun.
Yeah. Let's go now. Yeah, for the guitar. Let's go. All right. Somebody tell a lie. Somebody tell a lie. I said, let's go. Whoa. You know I know why. Somebody tell a lie. Somebody tell a lie. Okay, the roses for the liars, violence for storytelling. On my side like Scottie Pippen, you my mermaid, I've been selling. Now my vision getting blurry. I hear somebody yelling, that's my boss at work, you tripping. I just don't know what to tell him. Homies told me take my shot. Shoot straight. Used to date a friend and kick it, but she never been to bait. Said she 21 for everybody, acting like she can't. Both our birthdays in a wedding, hey, I'm thinking that it's fate. Got a man, but I can't hate. Said he rich, she love that trait. Said they on a break, now we on a date. Did I mention that she flake? Oh, now she text me, said he back in town, but I can't wait until that day when I can get her back around. I'm saying, all right. Know that I know why. No, you can't leave. Somebody tell a lie. Somebody tell a lie. Cindy, I want you. Go. I said, know that I love you. You know why? You know it might kill me. All right. Cindy, I want you. Yeah. Now she texting what you doing, looking for you like Magellan. Think about the way you kiss and figure it, that's what you spelling. Where we going, ain't no telling. We might end up a felon. You with me, ain't no belly. Tell your mama we'll be melting. Now I lurking on the gram, things I love to hate. Used to try to argue with her, never been debate. And then I left open the gate. Told her text me on the way. I fell asleep, responded late. No way. All right now. Know that I know why. No, you can't leave. Somebody tell a lie. Somebody tell a lie. Cindy, I want you. Go. I said that. All right now. Know that I know why. No, it might kill somebody tell a lie. Cindy, I want you. I said, let's go. All right now. Know that I love you. I know why. Know that I need somebody. Cindy, I want you. I said, goddamn now.
Love it. So good.
Beautiful.
Ramah.
Thanks so much for having us.
So JB, I think you're spot on. Ramah. Let's talk Ramah for a second. Summer camp. It's a strange little subculture. You talk about places that are like designed to be shut off from the rest of the world. You've had some exposure. I don't know, what should a Jewish community summer camp, be thinking about, talking about? We love having you come out to Camp Ramah in California. Maybe next summer, please God, we're back to normal life and real live performances. You'll come back, but maybe we'll do a talk back, right? We'll have a conversation. But what do you guys think, that a Jewish community and a summer camp should be thinking about in terms of what's going on in the world right now? And I do want to just point out that, Jews aren't all white, right? Like we need to be aware of that and think about, what does that mean as well, and make sure that we're looking inside our own community and that we're making sure that our community reflects our own diversity as well. So I don't want to just kind of paint the Camp Ramah picture as a white bubble, but it's largely white. And so I don't know, let's talk a little bit about summer camp. What do you guys think? JP, what did you think when you first came to Ramah? This must have been its own little world.
Yeah, so like I said, I went to school in Long Beach, California. In that school district, when you're in 5th grade, they send you out to a campgrounds for a week, and it's like it's a public school campgrounds. It's like your first experience, like away from your parents, So like when I went to Camp Ramah, that was like my first, impression. Like, man, this reminds me of like camp, And then I also had the luxury of going as a 9th grader because I was a counselor. They asked me to come back as a counselor, to help the younger kids. So I was also there as a kid, and I was also there as a teenager. So I'm looking at the kids at Ramah. It's like the kids, I know what they're thinking, just like, just running around like chickens with their heads cut off, like we're at camp, And then I see the teenagers who are kind of like, yeah, these are my grounds. Like, you know, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I love it. You know what I'm saying? I love it, you know, because I remember what I was thinking as a teenager, you know, around camp and versus what I was thinking as a kid, you know. So, but like coming there and seeing all the kids, you know, like it's always fun performing for them. They're probably like our most engaged crowd of any show we've ever performed. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Shout out Ramah.
shout out Ramah.
Ramah,
Like
baby.
half of them know the words to the songs already. You know what I'm saying? They already know our names and stuff. So it's like it's real welcome every time we come. Like I've never felt like I wasn't welcome to Ramah. You know what I'm saying? Even though, you know, like it isn't very diverse. You know what I'm saying? But it's like I didn't really expect it to be like that. You know what I'm saying? But it's like me just diving into the culture, period. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I look at it as that, like, okay, cool, we're here. Like, this is how they run things, you know. Then even as we're setting up, I'm like, nah, what are they cooking over there? What are they setting up? And he's like, not right now, JB, not right now. Lessons later. I'm like, I just want to know, you know. So
because we got to set up after Shabbat, so we don't got a lot of time. It's like, let's plug in quickly.
Right. So it's like I said, it's like it's a cultural experience for me every time. You know what I'm saying? Like, so now that we've been doing it for years, it's kind of like, you know, I'm walking around like, these my stomping grounds. You know, like they love us here. This is our squad. You know what I'm saying? Camera, you know. So
We're happy to hear that.
yeah. I love it every time.
Awesome.
How would just to continue your question, Rabbi Joe? How would, for example, in a community in Compton, how would we connect Camp Ramah in Compton? How would
so like
with like an open day? I'm just thinking.
So like if it was a camp in Compton, like and you came, like, you know what I'm saying, everybody would think you're either a police officer or you're a Fed agent. Like that's just like literally what we're taught. You know what I'm saying?
What if
like,
you invite like camps in Compton
Social worker.
to come to Ramah for a day? You know, with that
they'll be very confused. You
They'll
know,
be very
very
confused.
like
Would that
just
be a
in an
start?
uneducated way. In an uneducated way, though. You know what I'm saying? Like just mixing cultures like that. It's obviously like kind of like both sides will be like, what is this? A whole new world? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's kind of like I said, it all comes down to the education part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe, you know, they see stuff on TV, YouTube, and, you know, they're, you know, subjected to believe that like, oh, this is how they live their life, or this is how, you know what I'm saying, this race lived their life. And it's like, that's one thing between all of us. It's like, I always realize that we have so much in common just as humans, as mammals, you know what I'm saying? Like so much, but you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, we still got to go home, you know what I'm saying, with these different colors on our skin and different cultures and different ways that we was brought up and stuff. But as far as camps, like, I feel like camp is like a starting point, you know what I'm saying? Like, kids will probably listen more at camp to their teachers than they would at class, you know, September through June, you know what I'm saying? Just because it's from an outer perspective and a more relaxed scenario, you know, like, so, like I said, that's a big thing, you know. I feel like a lot of all summer camps, you know, should like, especially these days, you know, should bring awareness to social diversity. Just, you know, like, let me show you what this life is like over here. You know, like I've been trying to try every cuisine on the map lately. Like I've been scared to try anything besides what I was used to lately. Like he's been trying to get me on Thai. We just had to retrain other. I'm just like, bring it all. Just bring it all. You know, so I mean that's how, you know.
Hummus is our go-to
Yeah.
snack.
I have a
now.
lot of hummus.
Nice.
I'm begging for hummus every day. But it's like that's one thing, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm probably the only person in Compton who's ever ate hummus. Like as stereotypical as that sounds. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just kind of like you're taught what you're taught, you know what I'm saying? So like if all these camps and everybody just start, you know, outreaching more to different cultures, you know, everything, period, then, you know, that's kind of like a good starting point. So shout out Camera for sure.
And I think one of the things that makes the camp so effective is that the teachers aren't parents. And frankly, it's not the old people like me, right? It's our younger staff, the ones that are actually dancing like crazy in front of you when you're playing the concert, you know, because they're the ones that their kids are looking up to, right? And if they have an opportunity to have real conversations like this, right? And try and see, oh, well, maybe a camp day isn't going to work, but to have people that genuinely respect and love each other and create something together. And that's what I'm so moved by, you know, and I'm embarrassingly and unfortunately don't have a musical gene the way you guys do, but so value that artistic and creative process that you're able to do together, you know, and some of it's like your last song that's just fun and let go. And then some of it's like really getting to core issues that people are going to take in and interpret in their own way and try and change the world as a result of it. And so really, we're so glad and grateful for you guys coming together and sharing your connection with each other and your music. Can we do one more song?
We can try and do one more song.
Switch it up.
This was a song. It kind of ended up just being the ending of a song where we were trying to transition to another song, and Nachum was riffing on the idea of switch it up. Let's switch it up and do a different thing. And then we kept coming back to that part of the song and going, that just needs to be a whole other song. This is a whole other vibe. So I guess if that's our takeaway from today's talk, that was a little too neat to say this, but having the leap of faith and the curiosity to go beyond what you know, right? So that's what Switch It Up is kind of about.
Yeah, in Hebrew, mishaneh makol mishaneh mazal. Sometimes when you switch things up, it's good for you. Sometimes, hopefully. Here we go. Ready?
You got it.
Again, I just want to say, Brendan Flavin on the guitar. Come say, hey, Bren.
Whoa,
We're at
secret
BF. We're
guitarist.
at BF recording, by the way, his home right
Yeah,
here.
BF's producing the session.
His production is amazing. And Janae Miller, one more time. Janae Miller, one of the greatest singers I've ever met in my life. Here we go. Let's switch it up.
Yeah. Whoa. Okay.
I'm through with picking up this mess.
All right.
Every moment sick about the stress.
Yeah.
It's time we talk about bad dreams.
Whoa.
Gonna chop
The
through
reality.
reality.
Whoa.
Every morning when I wake up,
Wake up.
slow, I can feel everything tip overflow.
Overflow.
Yeah, I never thought I'd feel surprised. Every time
Whoa.
I look you right in the eye.
Now it's time I gotta go.
Girl, I need to know. Wait.
Indecision in my phone. It's time now. Wrote these lyrics on my phone. Better than being alone. Maybe I could save my soul.
It's time now. Whoa.
Switch it up.
Switch it up.
Switch it up.
Switch it up.
Switch it up for a while.
Now won't ya?
Switch it up.
Now won't ya?
Switch it
Now
up.
won't ya?
Switch it up for a while.
Look, okay, I'm tripping. Probably why I'm sipping. Planking like I'm tipping. On my side like Pippin. I don't do that dreaming, cause everything defeating. Michael Jackson beating. What a Sunday really be, man. Late nights I've been thinking. After Brown Ace got me selling. And I know just what you thinking, cause the feelings you prevailing. Now, wait, now won't you tell me who you hailing? Kill it like I'm OJ. Cross me, then I'm belling. Cross me, bet you fell in. Rapping with my left hand. 405 that Bronco. Don't treat me like no felon.
Now it's time I gotta go.
Girl, I need to know. Wait,
Indecision been my fault.
it's time now. I know. Wait,
I'm
phone. Alone.
It's time now.
Let's go.
Switch it up.
Switch it up.
Switch it up.
Now won't ya?
Switch it up.
Now won't ya? Now won't ya?
Switch it up.
Switch it up now. Switch it up.
Switch it up for a while.
Hey.
Switch it up.
Make a change with ya. Switch it up.
Switch it up for a while.
Now won't ya?
Switch it up.
Make a change in your life.
Switch it up.
Switch it up for a while.
Let's go.
Even though I never try to be
Never.
someone that would change your mind or leave.
I know.
But I know last call means do or die. The party's burning.
Whoa.
Even though I never thought
Right.
it
Let's go.
all the things it really meant to you.
Whoa.
But I know it won't explode my heart. The tables
Caramel's time to
switch it up.
switch it up.
Switch it up.
Switch it up.
Switch it up for a while.
Compton, it's time to
Switch it up.
switch it up.
Switch it up.
Switch it up.
Switch it up for a while.
Okay, that west side, that best side, and I'm on that my dear. I'm in that left right with my left eye. He finally check that rear, me leaping, thinking, drinking. The longest year of my life, let it go all over one night. Be the only thing that I fear. Let's go. Switch it up. Let's go now.
Switch it up for a while.
Rabbi Joe, it's time to
Switch it up. Only thing left is to switch it up for a while.
switch it up.
Wow. Well, we are so grateful. Janae, Brendan, Malcolm, JB, Nachum, love what you guys are doing. Thank you, JB. As you said, everyone has a story. You guys shared your story, and in this crazy time of disconnection, when we're not hugging and we're not with each other and you guys aren't playing live concerts, we so value this opportunity to appreciate the connection you have with each other, to kind of model that for all of us, and then to feel this connection even through these screens across North America and across the world. And so Love you. Thank you very much. Plank, we're so grateful for you guys. And please God, when next time we do the concert, it'll be live in person, and maybe the world will be even a little bit better because we're switching it up.
Let's hope
Thank
so.
you.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, NRC,
Toda,
for
toda,
having
Rabba.
us. Thank you, Ramah.
Shout out, Camera Ma.
Shout out.
See
Thank
you
you.
soon.
Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate it.
Rabbi
Thanks,
Joe,
guys.
you the guy. Thank you, man, for real.
Thank you. So grateful. You lead throughout. Take care.
Shalom. Oh, we got to learn
Yalla.
shalom. That's it. Yalla.
Yalla.